Once upon a time, in a quiet village nestled between rolling hills, there lived a man named Marcus. Marcus was not the wealthiest or the most powerful man in the village, but he had something rare, peace of mind. While others worried about losing their money, their health, or their loved ones, Marcus remained calm. His secret was something called negative visualization, an ancient practice he had learned from the writings of the Stoics. Marcus had not always been this way. Years ago he was like everyone else, full of fear and anxiety. He would lie awake at night, worrying about what might go wrong. What if his crops failed? What if his wife fell ill? What if his children struggled in life? The weight of these thoughts made it hard for him to enjoy the good things he already had. Then one day an old traveler passed through the village and shared a lesson that changed Marcus forever. The traveler spoke of the Stoics, philosophers who believed that true happiness came from mastering one's mind, rather than controlling the world. They practiced negative visualization, the act of imagining the worst-case scenario, not to dwell on fear, but to prepare for it, and appreciate what they had. At first Marcus thought this sounded gloomy. Why would anyone want to think about bad things? But the traveler explained that by facing fears head-on, they lost their power. So Marcus decided to try it. Each morning he would sit quietly and imagine the worst that could happen. He imagined his fields burning, his house collapsing, his family leaving. At first this exercise filled him with dread, but over time, something unexpected happened. He began to realize that even if these things came to pass, he could endure them. More than that, he saw how lucky he was that they hadn't happened. When he walked through his village, he noticed the beauty of the trees, the warmth of the sun, the laughter of his children, things he had taken for granted before. One year, a terrible storm swept through the village. Many homes were destroyed, crops were ruined, and people were frightened. Marcus, however, remained steady. He had already imagined this moment many times. He knew what to do. He helped his neighbors rebuild, shared his stored food, and reminded them that hardship was temporary. The villagers marveled at his calmness. They asked how he could be so strong in the face of disaster. Marcus smiled and told them about negative visualization. He explained that by preparing for the worst, he had learned to appreciate the present. The storm had not caught him off guard because he had already faced it in his mind. Now, he could act wisely instead of reacting in panic. Some villagers laughed, thinking it was foolish to dwell on sad thoughts. But others listened, and slowly they too began to practice this strange but powerful exercise. Years passed and Marcus grew older. His hair turned gray, and his steps slowed. But his mind remained sharp. One evening, as he sat by the fire with his grandchildren, they asked him the secret to his long and happy life. He told them the story of the traveler and the lesson of negative visualization. Most people run from their fears, he said, but the brave learn to face them. When you imagine losing what you love, you begin to love it more deeply while you still have it. His grandchildren did not fully understand, but they remembered his words. And as they grew, they too discovered the wisdom in his teachings. The practice was passed down through generations, and though the village faced many hardships, wars, plagues, droughts, those who remembered Marcus' lesson endured with strength and gratitude. The power of negative visualization was not about expecting the worst to happen. It was about realizing that life is fragile, and by accepting that, we can live more fully. The Stoics called this Amor fati, the love of fate. To embrace whatever comes, good or bad, and to find peace not in what we possess, but in how we think. And so Marcus' legacy was not in the wealth he left behind, but in the quiet strength he taught others to cultivate. In a world full of uncertainty, his greatest gift was showing that the mind, when trained, can be stronger than any storm. The end